So, here's the story of about how yoga has transformed my life. And the reason I want to share it with you is because essentially I think we're all the same. We're all women, and okay, the details and the timelines may vary slightly, or a lot actually, from individual to individual, but essentially we're the same. We carry the same sense of emotions, we have the same desires, we are women walking on the planet at the same time. So for me, my journey into yoga started because of struggle. It didn't start because I fancied getting fit or learning to stretch. It started early. I faced quite hardcore addiction when I was 18, which is also about the same time I found yoga, because I was seeking a way of basically of feeling better. I found life really hard, as a lot of people do. I have come to kind of see in hindsight with my age. And what yoga did for me in those early years, initially it was like a sanctuary, it was a haven. Yoga gave me a place to go where I could kind of retreat from the world and lick my wounds. And that was really handy. I needed that at that time in my life. I continued to practice through my 20s, and what yoga started, it started to turn into something different then. It started to become like my touchstone. It was like I was travelling the world for a lot of that decade, and it became the place I could come home to. So yoga started to feel like home. And it also, in my late 20s and early 30s, it started to become like a doorway or a window into something very deep and something very sacred that I could access through my yoga practice. And through my 30s, it also, that's when I had 3 children in there and a divorce. So it started to be my source of courage and strength. It really kept me going. That was a really hard decade, actually, bringing up 3 small children on my own. And I maintained a daily practice throughout that period of my life to give me, like it was my source. I would go to my yoga mat, well, I'd get up very early and do my yoga practice, and it would fuel me to get on and face my responsibilities and deal with some fairly difficult emotions and deal with really challenging external circumstances. So I got courage, and I was developing faith, shraddha we call it in yoga, developing a really strong faith that this yoga practice was really working for me. Into my 40s it changed more again into a far more deepling spiritual experience, which had been there from the start, but it was like now that the balance tipped far more into the deeper spiritual side of it, and I started discovering what I'm still discovering now in my 50s, the source and the essence of absolute happiness and truth for me. And I don't use it as a sanctuary anymore. That phase kind of fell away, and instead of it being a way to hide from the world, yoga has become my way of giving me what I need to act in the world in the way that I want to act in the world. So it supports me in the life that it equally is helping me to choose with clarity, and it's helped me to overcome not all of my obstacles, most of my obstacles. I would say at this point, which is where I kind of, early 50s, it's okay to know there's still more to work on, but my life is not being hijacked by my own limitations, which sort of early in my 20s it certainly was the case. So I say this to you in hope that if something resonates with you about yoga, that you're getting a sense and a feeling, obviously it's not just about those postures, The postures are one of the doorways into yoga, but yoga is a philosophy, and it has incredible depth and the ability to be applied to every single person. And perhaps being in your 20s, in some ways, you don't have to be doing that hardcore physical yoga to get the benefit of yoga. So if you're watching this and you are a woman in your 40s, 50s, it's a perfect time to start yoga, because what yoga requires is the ability to introvert to some extent, the ability to face yourself and go inward. So that's my story. If any of it resonates with you, feel free to make a call and talk to me about my program, or equally find a practice or a teacher near you who can introduce you to the thing that I love and I believe supports women in a profoundly unique way. Namaste.